Hello and welcome to another Ginger Ginge video. Now today we're going to be doing some more work on the fish tank. It's nearly done. We're nearly getting to that point where we can fill it up with water. So today what we're going to do is, the background we're going to be siliconing in place, so that's all nice and solid. Filling in all the little gaps and white areas that we need to, just to make it look nice and uniform. We're going to be working on the wood that goes on the outside of the stand, so that's going to be all boxed in to make that all look nice and hidden. And then as well, we're going to be doing some work on the sump. So I said that the sump's going to have a few sections in it, and I'm going to be putting baffles in place just to separate those sections. So I'm also going to be doing that today. Once that's done, that's all cured. About a week afterwards, I'm going to be cleaning the tank, getting it all prepped, and hopefully we should be filling it with water and getting ready to actually start cycling this tank. So it's going to be really exciting to get that finally on the go. So I'm going to jump straight into this video and start getting the work done. So the first thing I want to work on is this background. I want to get this background in place because that's probably one of the more important things I need to get set, just because this is probably going to take the longest to dry with the silicone. So you can see this is how the background is going to be sat on that back panel. I need to go around all these edges and make sure they're all completely sealed, like I said in my last video, and also these areas here where the inlet and the outlet are, I just need to make sure they are actually covered as well, so they look nice and flat and uniform. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. I'm going to be sticking that all in place. Now you can see in this bit I've put silicone all the way around the edge to seal it, and that's just to make sure none of the water can actually get behind this background. So it's all completely sealed. You can see I've gooped up all the corners all along that edge where that gap was at the top. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this to cure now. You can see there are a few little bits I do need to touch up, but this is just the first rough bit, just to get it all on there. So I'm going to leave this to cure now, give it a good couple of hours, shake all that gravel that's on there off, and then again go over it for another passing with the silicone and the gravel, just to make sure that everything has been covered and it just looks nice to me. So it is a long process, but the thing is, you're only going to get in what you put out, so the more effort you put in now, the better it's going to look in the long run. So that's why I'm just going backwards and forwards, making sure it looks exactly how I want it to look. So now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the sump. You can see there I do actually have the return pump there, so I'll give you a little look at that as well. And yeah, we'll start getting the baffles for this cut and put in place. So this is the pump I've gone for. As you can see, it's a submersible pump. It says it does 1500 litres per hour. I know that's not the case for these pumps. I was watching a video from the King of DIY, and he said that even though it's rated for that, it doesn't actually pass that much water. I can't remember why, but I'm sure if you go check out his channel, you'll be able to find out what he means by that. I don't actually know what brand this is. I can't remember what one it was I ordered, but I just ordered a nice cheap one. I didn't need anything too expensive. I didn't need anything Bluetooth controlled or anything like that. I literally just wanted a small little pump that was going to be quiet and pump enough water around that I wanted. So this is the actual model code. Yeah, I don't know what it is, but it was nice and cheap. I think I paid about £18 for it. Yeah, it's pretty decent. It's got the little valve on the front so you can control the flow. I'm not too worried about that. It comes with this attachment here, and it also comes with another one. One's slightly bigger than the other, as you can see, so depending on what pipe you use. I've gone for the smaller one just because that's the pipe that fits onto those outlets on the back of my tank, so that's why I've gone for that smaller one. But yeah, this is the first bit of equipment I've got. It's probably the most important thing I'm going to need for this tank right now to actually get it up and running. I do have a skimmer on order, well not on order, but I've got it in the basket. I just need to do a little bit more research on it before I decide which one to choose. And yeah, that's basically all I'm going to need at the beginning. I will be putting a dosing pump on this as well, just because I want to get it dosing, just because I've got the nice corals that are going to be going in there. And yeah, apart from that, I'm not going to need too much else down in the bottom. I may add a little bio ball filter in there as well at some point, but for now, when the tank's just cycling, I'm not going to need much more. So that's the pump I'm going to be putting in the bottom. You can see it's nice and small. And I will be putting some stuff around this just to make it dead quiet as well, so it's not making an annoying hum noise in my ear when I'm asleep. Okay, so these are the acrylic panels that I'm going to be using. Now they're just old pieces of acrylic that I've had from previous tanks and stuff that I've done, and I'm just going to reuse them because there's no point putting them to waste. So they're a bit scratched up, they're a bit beaten up, but at the end of the day they're going to be in the sump. This isn't going to be one of those show sumps that everyone's going to be able to look at. This is basically just going to do a job. So I believe it's 5mm thick, and it's pretty stiff, so I think that's going to be enough just to do the job for what I want. So I'm going to have 3 sections in this tank. So there's going to be one single baffle that's going to be next to the filter sock. Now this is the filter sock that I use, or one of the filter socks I use for my Red Sea Reefer 350 upstairs. I like to use the mesh ones just because I think they last a lot longer than the material ones. The material ones are a lot harder to clean, and with this is quite a fine mesh as well. If I put my hand through, you can see it's very fine, so it does catch a lot of debris in the water. So I really like using these, I really rate these, and this is what I'm going to use on this tank. The Reefer 350 does have 2 of these. For this I'm only going to have 1, I think one's going to be perfectly enough. And so the first section, if you imagine this towel here is my sump, so the first section is going to have my filter sock, the water's going to come down into here, and this is going to be the first chamber that it's going to be in. One of the baffles is then going to go next to it like this. I'm only going to put a single baffle there because I'm not too worried about it catching any other debris. I'm not worried about micro bubbles or anything like that. Then the next section is going to be here, and in here I'm going to have my protein skimmer. I'll probably have a little bag of carbon or some activated media in there as well, just to try and help filter out the water and things like that. And then for the last section, which is going to be where the return pump goes, which would be this section, I'm going to have 2 baffles with a gap in between them, just like that. And in there I'm probably going to put a piece of filter foam, and that's just going to catch any other particles that aren't caught by the sock, the skimmer. So that will get caught before it then goes into the last section where the return pump will be, and then that piece of foam will also just stop any micro bubbles from getting into the system. So that's the layout that I'm going for. It's not too complicated. I don't want too many layers in this because, like I said, it's not going to be a complicated sump. It's literally not going to have much of a bioload to deal with because this is literally going to be a coral only tank with 4 or 5 different fish in it, only small fish. So yeah, it doesn't need to be too complicated. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to get these marked up so they match the same size as the refugium. I'm going to get these cut, and then we'll start sticking these in place. Okay, so let's put this in to check the fit. Oh my god. Oh my god. Wow. That is literally a perfect fit. I could not have got that better. Even if I used a laser cutter, I don't think that could have been straighter. Come on, focus. There's literally not a single gap either side of that. That is absolutely incredible. Now I'm either extremely skilled or I got very lucky, but yeah, that's the first one done. So now I'm going to repeat the process for the other 2. Hopefully they all come out perfectly level. Then next thing will be to measure the top bit to actually cut across the top, because I don't want this water to be particularly high in this, so that's the next stage. Okay, so that's the baffles cut. You can see that's going to be the sort of position. I'm going to move them a little round a bit, just because I see this filter sock's going to go on there. I don't want to go too over depth in building this. I just want this to be able to sit on a little rim that goes around it. So that first section needs to be as wide as that filter sock. The middle section, I need to try and make that as big as possible, because obviously I need to get a protein skimmer in there. Protein skimmer I've got, I think, will fit in here. I will need to double check it, but I can get a smaller one if necessary. The most important thing is with this section here, that I make this big enough for the return pump to go into, and obviously I'm going to be putting insulation around the pump to make that quiet, so I need to make sure this is as wide as it needs to be as well. So next stage, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work on these baffles. So you can see the height, I've left loads of material there. What I want to make sure is I don't have these too high. Now I want the water level to be no more than here, about halfway. I don't want the water level coming up too high. I literally want it to be just about there. So that's what I'm going to work on now. I'm going to measure out where I need everything to be, and I'll start cutting these baffles down to the size that I need. Okay, so as you can see, I've been really busy. I've marked out on the tank where the actual baffles are going to be. So this area here is going to be for my return pump. You can see I've got the baffle line that's going to be there. So this is enough just to house the pump. This middle section here is going to hold the protein skimmer and anything else that I decide to put in there. And then this section here is going to be for the filter sock. So this line there, this line there. And I've also been working out how I want the baffles to be. So you can see I've got a lot of diagrams there. It does look quite confusing, but if you look at this top line here, you can see this is where I'm going to cut this top line. That's going to be the top of the first baffle, and that's going to run a diagonal line down here, and this second line is going to be where the water actually overflows. This line here is where the filter sock is going to sit on top. Now it does look quite confusing at the minute, but once I cut it all out it will make more sense. And I've marked out these two here. You can see I've got the cut lines there and there that I need to cut along, and you can see I've got loads of scribbles here, there and everywhere, just so that I know where I'm actually going to be cutting. So next step is to cut these out. Once I've got them cut out, I can start actually putting them into this tank and getting them siliconed in so they don't move. Okay, so I've got all three of those pieces cut. You can see there, I've cut along those lines. The cuts are dead perfect. I couldn't have done them any better if I tried. And you can also see that on some of these edges I've actually rounded the edges off. So that's the top of where the filter bay is going to be, just there. And I've just rounded that edge off just to make it look nice for myself. And also on these corners where this meets the actual silicone, this meets the silicone on the tank, I've just rounded those edges off as well. And that's just to make sure that that sharp corner isn't digging into silicone and causing any damage. So that's just going to tuck in nicely and just make sure it's a nice snug fit. So next stage now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to secure these in place one at a time, and then I'm just going to slowly fill the edges with silicone and get them stuck in. Okay, so I've got two of those baffles in so far. Now this is going to be quite a slow process because you need to let the silicone dry before you put the next layer on the other side. So you can see I've put one layer of silicone on one side, so one layer going down there, and I've also got one layer of silicone going down there. And obviously I've got this tape holding it on both sides, so I can't put silicone on there. And this piece of wood here is just raising this baffle up enough off the bottom of the tank, because the second baffle that goes next to it here, the water's going to go over the top of that baffle, down in between, and then it's going to come from underneath there. And then in this section here I'll put a piece of foam just to filter out any micro bubbles and anything that doesn't get caught in this main chamber. So that's why I put the bit of wood there, and then that's just going to create enough of a space underneath for that water to flow through. So that's that. And then here, this section you can see has got that raised up lip. So the filter sock, I want to be careful because I don't want to smear that silicone that's in there. But this filter sock will sit about here, and then you can see the water's going to go through that sock, and this sock is just high enough that the water level will then go over there and then go into this main chamber. Once it's all together and it's running, you'll be able to see it a lot better. So you need to make sure you subscribe so you do see this all the way through, and all of this will be explained a little bit better. But so far I've got these two baffles in, and then obviously I've got this third one here, and then that section is just going to go there like that. But for now I need to leave these to dry. While these are drying, I'm actually going to go and work on the stand now, and I'm going to be cutting the wood for the stand and actually getting the stand covered around the outside so it just conceals it all a little bit more. And there we go. As you can see, we are almost there. It's slowly coming to an end, and I'm just so happy with the way that it's turned out right now. So you can see, I've got the insert, that's all secured in. I don't know if you can see the bead of silicone going down the side. So this is all secure now. This isn't going anywhere. It's all sealed throughout the top. So you can see all along there, that's all sealed. The front of it is all sealed as well. And then it comes all the way down into the tank. So that's absolutely perfect. You can see I wanted to go for that rimless effect. You can see I've built the cabinet nigh on perfect to what I want. And then down here, you can see is the sump. And you can see that first section here. So there's going to be where this tube is here, it's going to come all the way down. I'm going to make a hole in the side, so that tube will go into there, and then that will then drop down into this first section where I'll have one of these filter socks in there, just like that. And then over the back there, you can see there's like a lowered part. The water's then going to fill up. Once it's gone through the sock, it's going to go over that section, and then it's going to come into this main section here where I'm going to have the protein skimmer and maybe some biological media in there as well. And then once it goes into there and this section fills up, you can see these two baffles. This one on the left is slightly higher than one on the right. The water's going to come up, it's going to go over that baffle. Then in this section there's going to be some foam. It's going to go all the way down that baffle, and then you'll see there's a little gap underneath there. I don't know if it will come out on the camera, but there's a gap underneath there. The water then comes underneath there into this section where the return pump's going to be. That's going to be at the back. That's then going to pump the water up. Tube's going to come all the way around to here until you come out to this back side. There'll be a tube that comes out of here that runs up and then goes back into this bit here, into the tank. So that's the whole cycle. That's how it should all go, hopefully, if it goes to plan. The reason I've done the baffles the way I have is that this little baffle here is just higher than this baffle here. It's just higher than that one. So that allows, when the water does fill up, it will go over that one. And if this section here does ever get blocked for whatever reason, then this baffle isn't that high. This is still lower than what that section is over there. It will still allow the water to go over there if this gets blocked for some reason. So there we go. That is the build as it stands. I'm so happy. We're so close to getting this finished now. I just need to put one more bead of silicone on one of these baffles just to secure that in place. The whole frame is going to be painted black because that's the theme that I have in my room. That's going to be a waterproof paint that I'm putting on that, just because of all the moisture that is going to be down here. And then once that's done, we've got the little bits to hide, like we've got the tape along the side where the polystyrene is. The back of it is all going to be boxed in, but that's fine, I've got the wood for that. And this front panel as well, I've just got to apply the clips that go in each corner for that to slide and click onto. And the plumbing's already here, so that just needs to be connected. And yeah, we are almost done. We're almost at the end of that. I think next video I'll probably be able to finish this completely, and then once everything has sort of settled down, had time to cure, then it'll be time to fill it with water. So we're so close to getting this finished now, so close. Now you might think by watching this that this hasn't taken that long, but believe me, this has taken basically an entire day. I probably started this about 9:30 this morning, and I'm not sure what the time is now. It's probably about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening. So it's literally taken a full day to do this because I've had to wait for all the silicone to cure before I had the next bit on. Things like that. I've had to cut all the wood to size. That took a long time because I wanted to measure everything, make sure it was perfect, and then just getting it all installed. Silicone in the background as well, that took forever. Touching up all the little white areas that were there just so that it made it look a little bit nicer. Yeah, it's taken a long time to get to this stage, but as you can see, it looks absolutely amazing. The more effort you put into something, the better the outcome's going to be. So that's why I'm taking my time with it, and I want to make sure everything is perfect and exactly how I want it. So I really hope you're enjoying this build. As much as I hate it, I'm really enjoying it because I know I can see the progress day by day. It's a lot quicker for you guys, but obviously for me, I've got that long slog of actually getting it all done. So please stick with it. We're probably 2 videos away from actually getting this up and running. So follow the build, make sure you subscribe, give this video a like because I'm putting a lot of work into this. I really feel like I deserve a like. And while you're on the channel, go check out some of the other videos I've got. If you're into reptiles, things like that, I do have a few snake videos, so go and check them out, they're well worth a watch. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Falls. Oops. I'm going to have 2 baffles.